Good afternoon or evening, everybody. This is NCP. I'll give you some gratuitous video footage here while I'm doing this video, and it will repeat if I go over, which I'm sure I will. But I want to talk about using pool water. If a required situation would cause us to need pool water, such as an outage or whatever, or whatever happens, I wanted to know if you could drink chlorinated pool water. I mean, you could drink anything, but I want to know what the consequences of doing said action would be. Now, you can filter it. I have a reverse osmosis filter, and that's what I use, and I'll link that below, and it will filter out chlorine and such. But in regards to chlorine content, now wait, well, yeah, okay, let's go there. In regards to chlorine content, yes, you can drink chlorinated pool water, but in spec. The CDC recommends at least 1 part per million of free chlorine for pools and 3 parts per million for hot tubs and spa at minimum. And here's the pool at night. So, yeah. Okay, at minimum. Now, the site of the pool thing to look at, they want about 2 to 4 parts per million is where you want to keep your pool, and that's where I've been keeping mine. The CDC says chlorine levels up to 4 parts per million are safe to drink. Safe, not long term, safe for now. In times of emergency, the CD recommends 2.5 ml of 5.25 household bleach in 5 gallons of water to disinfect it. Then let it rest for 30 minutes before drinking. According to the online calculator, the amount of bleach will treat a 6.5 parts per million chlorine solution. Now, based on the CDC's drinking level of 4 parts per million of chlorine, we have to assume the CD recommendation of 30 minutes rest periods to allow the chlorine to react and drop to safer levels. Therefore, chlorinated pool water between 2 and 4 parts is currently safe to drink as is. The level of chlorine in a pool is is too high. If it's too high, then you got to let it rest or use vitamin C to neutralize the chlorine. If you have a 5-gallon container of 6.5 parts per million chlorine solution, from the example above, you either add 325 milligrams of sorbic acid or 600 or 364 milligrams of sodium ascorbate, ascorbate, ASCORBATE. This is stuff I've done a lot of research on, and these are the notes, okay? To metabolize or neutralize the chlorine. You don't want to metabolize it. You want to neutralize the chlorine. That's assuming an unrealistic 100% reaction through yield. Vitamin C is kind of hard to overdose on in such low amounts, so adding more wouldn't be too dangerous. On the other hand, if this amount of chlorine won't hurt you if you added too little vitamin C, or this chlorine, won't hurt you if you added too little chlorine or too little vitamin C, or if the reaction resulted in a low yield. It appears that the 2 most common vitamin supplements of vitamin C are either 500 or 1,000 milligrams. Now, I personally take C1000 complex, once a day. So if we assume those levels are safe, and we're not going to drink all 5 gallons at once or in a day, using half of 1,000 milligram vitamin C tablet has very low possibility of harmful side effects. Now, mind you, this isn't medical advice. This is just notes for me and what I plan to do if I have to. So if the chlorine level is too low, you boil it and add more bleach to disinfect. So you always boil it anyway and filter it regardless. I'll also add that if this is an unfamiliar pool, see, I know what's in my pool, you want to determine that the disinfecting methods the chemical uses or the pool is used in it. So you want to look and see, look around. If it's not your pool, look in the little pool areas where the stuff is. If you come across a pool that's been shocked, it may have a very high chlorine content, unlike a lot. But there are also pool chemicals that, other than chlorine, to disinfect them. And this research I've done is specifically about chlorine because that's what I have in my pool. Obviously, you can use the pool as is to flush, or if you semi-filter, you could just shower with it. It's probably okay. And they're generally this information is generally for pools that are maintained versus other water sources, because pools tend to be, by their nature, they're going to be maintained. So get a proper filter, and if you want, I have one. I'll drink with it if I need be. But I know it's in there, but it's always good for flushing toilets or washing up or showering. Now I use reverse osmosis with ultraviolet filtration, 11 stage, and I'll put a link to that below. It does about 100 gallons per day, but I don't know. I don't think it really does that much, but that's what it's rated at. And if I go down here and I look at my chemicals, and I looked up my chemicals, and I use floater tablets by Clorox, and there's a word I can't pronounce. It's a trichloric cyanic acid and boric acid, and these are organic. I guess both organics. And the liquid chlorine is sodium hypochlorite. And now for the pool one I use, it's 10%, which is a 10. So I'd have to take that into calculation versus the other one, which I think was like 5% or 5.25 or whatever. It's about double strength. Now the shock, I can't even pronounce it. It's some other weird chemical, dichloro. I'll put text up here on these things here real quick, right about here. So however that stuff is pronounced, I don't know. Not a chemist. But I looked at my filters for my reverse osmosis, and they the ones on the bottom reduce sand, dirt, silt, dust, scale, rust, and other sediments. So that'll pretty much clean the water. Now I was going to boil it before I even, if I ever have to do it, I was going to boil it, assuming that's an option, and then use like a regular filter for it, and then use the real filter with the reverse osmosis. And the carbon filters have a high rejection rate. Pretty much all these filters have carbon in them, by the way, but they reject chlorine and volatile organic chemicals. The reverse osmosis catches like 1/10,000th of a micron, including various living impurities, which, the living impurities kind of bothers me, and it rejects chlorine and benzene and industrial solvents and a bunch of total dissolved solids and chemicals causing bad taste and odors. I don't know. But let's talk about the dangers of ingesting, other than the chemical dangers, there's other things like cryptosporum, or however it's pronounced, is a parasite that's shed in feces in humans sometimes, and the parasites enter the pool through fecal accidents or by bathers who carry the organism on their skin. Gross. Anyway, swimmers can be infected when they swallow contaminated pool water, and the parasite causes diarrhea and abdominal upset. So that's basically the gist of it. Ideally, you want to have water put away already for an event, a hurricane or whatever. Everybody fills up their bathtub out here, and that's a lot. And then you don't forget that your water heater has 40 to 60 gallons, depending on what you have. And I don't want to drink from the back of a toilet, but that would be a source of fresh water that you could still filter, because it sets there a lot. But still, you could. Generally, I'd use all these sources. I have my own bottled water, and I would use all these sources as for bathing, doing dishes. After I mechanically sterilized it with the boiling, but that wouldn't really remove the chemical contaminants. A lot of these chemicals in the pool will just supplement away with sunlight over time, but there are things, a type of acid, I forget what it is offhand, but it stops chlorine from going away. So your normal, I'll just let it set for blah 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 time, won't apply to pool water and sunlight. So just something to think about as an alternate use. I mean, I got this water out here. I got about 4,000 gallons of water in that pool, and I just want to make sure that it's readily accessed. I mean, I keep the pool safe. I know what chemicals are in it, and and I can also have test strips to tell me the level of the chemicals in it. But that's another story. But you guys don't want to think about it if you come across the pool. But I wouldn't. I would treat it like any other water, only cleaner. I mean, most of those chemicals in there, are going to get in people's mouths, so they're not super bad. This is all just my opinion and my notes, and references for me. If it applies to you, great, you know. But this is my thoughts. I got a lot of things I need to get done here, but I wanted to have a dual purpose for everything I have, and this water is good for that. And once the chlorine's gone, I don't think there's any problem watering plants or vegetables with it, even though that would still be ingestion, but it'd be such a little bit. And there may be time when all the local water is contaminated. Usually we have boil alerts, and that's the worst we get. So those are, you know, you just boil. But the reverse osmosis will take care of most of that, and it's got the UV filtration. So I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. I'll put some links below. Like I said, this information comes from the internet. It hasn't been verified, but I've used like different websites like the CDC and stuff to look up what they say is safe, and other sites say it isn't safe. So I don't know, but I'll go with the CDC and see what they say about the up to 4 parts per million safe. It doesn't say if that's free chlorine or total chlorine. Those are two different things. Total chlorine is the total chlorine, and the free chlorine is what's available to interact with things. So you could have total chlorine, and it could still probably be green pool water because it's all used up. It's already reacted. You need the free chlorine to act on chemicals and organisms and sanitization and etc. Anyway, I babbled on long enough. This is NCP. I hope you all have a great day and stay safe. Have a good one. NCP out.